next guest is my friend Timothy Hale. Tim Hale has the distinction of being one of the most grieved, most poorly treated January 6th defendants in the history of all that. That's a tough crown to get because there's been some real nasty treatment. But he himself was charged with misdemeanors, given the fake felony charge, and ended up in jail for more than 3 years. Basically, they made it up. And they made him suffer, and he's an amazing guy who has gotten through all that and has a great perspective. So welcome back, Tim. How are you?
Well, thank you for having me back on, Ed. I'm phenomenal. I'm so good, I can't even stand it. How are you?
He's also kind of funny. Now, Tim, listen, and of course we talk about your aunt, Cynthia Hughes, who's my colleague. We work on the Patriot Freedom Project, which is patriotfreedomproject.com. And so we hear from a lot of the J6 families and the J6 defendants. We have been hearing for the last months the uptick in people being arrested. You know, there was a 24-year-old young man arrested. There's lots happening. Give us an update in general on the sort of, if there's a J6 community, broadly speaking, where do people feel like they are? Are people feeling encouraged by some of the details and the changes, the Supreme Court decision? There have been some cases dismissed. Give me the lay of the land briefly.
I think that I don't want to speak, I can't actually speak for anyone else, but I would say that I think there is reason to be rejoicing a little bit. You'd mentioned there have been some cases that have been dropped. Will Pope's 1512 has been dropped recently. Guy Reffitt, his 1512 has been vacated, though his judge won't release him. Yeah, there actually is progress being made. I think Eric Herrera, after 4 years, he just recently said that he's been informed that his 1512 will be vacated. So, I mean, there is cause for rejoice. The problem is the government is just taking its time with 1,500 cases, not all 1512s, but this is going to be a very long process. And yeah, I think recently they just arrested a man who was 17 at the time of January 6th.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not letting up anytime soon. It's hard to keep track of all these cases. I don't know if you're familiar with Ryan Samsel. He was supposedly the one who started the riot by pushing over the first barrier. His sentencing has been suspiciously postponed till after the new year, so into February. All his co-defendants have been sentenced, though, so that's a little odd. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it's important for January 6th. I believe that January 6th defendants should really keep track of as much as possible, because it's easy to lose sight of everything that goes on, because there's a lot that's going on. It might seem like it is very slow, and it might seem like nothing's happening, but there's a lot that goes on. So it's important to keep track of it.
Let me see, Tim, Dylan, can we put patriotfreedomproject.com up here on the screen? I want to make sure people know. You get that for me on the, that's the website to go find out more and support the work. Tim, on this, a few weeks ago, maybe it's a month and a half ago, there we go. A month and a half ago, there was this Inspector General testified before the House committees and said, I've got a report, it's almost done, but I can't give it to you yet. And it was a report that by his own description to the members of the committee would identify at least the number, but also I think some of the context of federal informants, federal agents, and federal operators. You know, and the report hasn't come out. We have this document that came out of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I think it was from them that said Trump did in fact offer the military to the Joint Chiefs. Trump said, get the military, keep it safe. The Joint Chiefs said that would look bad. We're not going to do it. And so they allowed the situation. I mean, there's a point here where you almost can't keep up with the almost
lies.
Yeah,
the lies.
The truth almost comes out and then doesn't.
Yeah, well, it's like it's 4 years later almost, and yeah, it's always seems to be the dangling the carrot in front of the horse trick. I don't think we're going to get anything substantive out of these reports that may or may not happen. We're going to have to win this election, and get a handle on these departments and administrations. I don't foresee them telling us the truth, even if they rig the election, they take over or whatever, and they're like, well, there's nothing to fear now because we can't be held accountable. I still don't think they're going to tell the truth. So I mean, it's all a farce, and why would they confess to what they've done? I mean,
Yeah.
It's
Well, I don't think they, yeah, I guess I don't think they confessed. You think I thought the IG, the Inspector General, was going to have a report. I'd heard from like some of the good guys on Tom Massey's staff, Congressman Massey's staff, who were saying we're finally going
right.
to get some of this
Well,
stuff.
I had seen him. I had seen him interviewing. I believe this might be the same person you're talking about. I had seen him interviewing a few days ago someone, asking them. So it's been 4 years. When is this report going to be released? Well, we postponed it because we had the
Right.
commission looking at it, and
Right.
so yeah, they're going to keep kicking the can down the road, and whatever they do release is probably going to be buried under a bunch of stuff, and it's just it's never going to happen. They're not going to tell us. They're going to JFK this stuff.
Right. PatriotFreedomProject.com to learn more about all this work we're doing, see some of Tim Hale's writings, also Cynthia Hughes. Tim, when you look at this election, there's a lot of people that can lay claim to the weaponization of government. Donald Trump stands at the forefront. There's pro-lifers that are in jail. That is extraordinary. Thousands of January 6 families. It really is a theme that is clear to a lot of Americans, I think. Is that, do you see that? And more importantly, do you see among people, not just J6 families and friends and people that are paying attention, but more broadly, that this is going to motivate voters, and that they see that, like Elon Musk said, that the Republicans aren't perfect. You and I could agree on that, but that compared to who's in power now and what they've been doing for 15 years, even through the Trump years, you've got to stop this. Is that message going to be acted upon by voters in ways that they haven't before? Do you think?
In my personal opinion, I think it's probably the age old things that are going to motivate people. The economy's horrible. The country looks like it's on fire and about to collapse. I think, honestly, if I'm perfectly frank, I think those will motivate people to vote. I don't necessarily think that the weaponization thing is the most important thing to what's going to get people out to vote. It might, and it should, because this is going to keep happening. It's going to keep getting worse. It's not. It didn't start with January 6th. The Wolverine Watchman entrapment scheme out of Michigan. They're going to keep
Right.
doing this. I wouldn't be surprised if they try it again as an October surprise, or I guess November surprise. I wouldn't be surprised if they get back in again. They're just going to keep entrapping and setting up American citizens. This is going to affect everybody at some point. It would be foolish if Americans weren't motivated by that. But I think in more immediate concerns are probably going to motivate them,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
No, it's just smart politics. I think you're right. I guess let me ask it. Let me spin the question a little differently. Amongst the people that feel the weaponization, are there more people that might be new voters? Among you always cared about politics. You read a lot. It's what your
Sure.
background. You're interested in it. But a lot of folks were going about their lives, and they're looking up and seeing government. Is that going to motivate many? I mean, Phyllis, my old boss, used to say, "You're not trying to get 50. You're not trying to get everybody to agree on 51% of the issues. You're saying this chunk cares about this, and they'll go to the polls in this direction."
I think there's something to be said. Maybe not so much the weaponization. I will say, when you look at like Tulsi Gabbard or RFK Jr.,
Right.
when you look at the kinds of people who are now gravitating to Trump, Elon Musk was not a huge Trump person. I think that I'll say this: there is seemingly a realignment happening in American politics. Yeah, I do think that there is going to be a kind of turnout that we haven't seen before in terms of people who were not typically voters, people who might have been unaligned, people who might have even been left of center, but yeah, who were tired of what is seemingly a despotic regime. Like, I don't recognize this Democratic Party. I don't even recognize this country anymore. I do think that is going to play a part in what
Yeah.
changes a lot of people's minds, or at least motivates people to get off their
Get out and vote.
rear
Yeah.
ends to vote. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Tim Hale, out of time. Goes so fast. PatriotFreedomProject.com, right there on the bottom. You can see it. Please go there and check out the work and support what is happening. We'll talk again soon. We'll talk again. We'll talk again soon. Tim, thank you for coming on, Tim.
Thank you for having me, Ed.
You're very welcome. All right, we're wrapping it up, everybody. Go to proamericareport.com. Check out all of these interviews. I'll put links up to PatriotFreedomProject.com, Michael Pack's Palladium Pictures, and a whole lot more. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to Dylan and the Rumble DC studio for a great a chance to be doing the program here, and we'll talk very soon. It's Ed Martin here on the Pro America Report.